Hi everybody, I am going live today with two clinics, Reproclinic based in Barcelona, Spain, and also Unica Clinic based in the Czech Republic. And I'm going to be speaking to Reproclinic CEO and also the medical director of Unica, who will introduce themselves in a moment, to discuss their thoughts on holistic treatment to support fertility and IVF and whether they're for it and how they feel it can be beneficial, as it can be quite a controversial. Unica are here, Dr. Fragala is here, and the CEO of Reproclinic will be joining too. Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Fragala. How are you?
Good afternoon. Great, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Not
Okay.
bad. I know that we're about to be joined by Reproclinic as well, and I've just introduced you briefly to the audience, but please could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and Unica Clinic and what you're offering our readers at the moment?
Okay. Well, thank you for the introduction. I hate to barge in right in the middle, but I'm doing this for the first time, so I wasn't able when to try and sort of jump in. About myself, I don't like to talk about myself that much. Okay, I studied in Czech Republic. Then I actually, the first job that I got was at the gynecologic oncology clinic here in Brno. Then I worked in Los Angeles, California for 6 years in cancer research. And when I got back, I actually had a great time, and I enjoyed working at the gynecologic oncology clinic for like 15 years. Eventually, though, I joined the team of Unica, and I switched to a more positive and to a more like friendly specialization, okay, reproductive medicine. And I've been busy in that field for about 15 years, the last 3 or 4 as the head of the IVF program at Unica Brno. And it's not an easy field. It's a lot of stress sometimes, and the fates, the stories of the patients, they can sometimes be heartbreaking. But actually, that's part of the miracle that we are, that have the opportunity to participate in, and I just wouldn't trade it for anything else. So. That's it. I believe this is the field where I'm going to stay for the rest of my career. I very much hope so. And even though it's hard sometimes, I'm having a great time.
Fantastic. Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Fragala. And Dr. Vella from Reproclinic in Barcelona, Spain. Hello, welcome. Please could you introduce yourself to those who are joining?
Hi, Luis. Nice to see you, Dr. Fragala, again. So I'm Dr. Esther Velilla. I'm an embryologist by training, by formation, and now I'm the CEO of Reproclinic. I started in the IVF lab as an embryologist, then I moved to the genetic field to work for PGT. For several years, I did my master and my thesis there, and then I come back and I start with the clinic here, and now 3 years ago, we established Reproclinic with a different proposal value as some of the clinics that we have here in Spain. And we are focusing mainly in fertility treatments with a very holistic approach. And we joined a partnership with Unica recently. So it's nice to have all of you here as well.
Great. And what's fantastic about this conversation is hearing fertility medical Western expert opinion on holistic treatment. Before we go into that, because I have some brilliant questions to ask you from our community, so thanks for sending those in. I just want to remind people that both Unica and Reproclinic are giving away 11 opportunities of complementary treatment through Fertility Help Hub. If you go to the link in our bio, you can read all about them and their opportunities that they're kindly offering. which includes a free round of IVF at Unica Clinic in the Czech Republic and 2 complementary supporting holistic therapies, which we'll talk about in a minute, which the couple who are successful, randomly selected, can choose. And then Reproclinic are offering 10 bundles. That's to help 10 people, solo parents, same-sex couples, heterosexual couples, the opportunity of a fertility consult, and also fertility coaching and fertility acupuncture. And the reason that the cycle at Unica is the same is for a heterosexual couple is because that is the Czech law. So for anyone who has been asking about that. So head to the link in bio for more information about both these fantastic clinics. But the first conversation or first topic I would like to ask you both about is generally when it comes to Western medicine. If I ask you first, Dr. Fragala, why do you think that a lot of doctors in the Western world are not supportive of holistic therapies for fertility? Or would you say that more people are starting to integrate that in their offering?
I do have some colleagues who actually start to focus on that, think about it more. Why don't more colleagues or physicians do that? The development in the field, the new techniques, new approaches, it's quite live, it's quite dramatic. There's so many things to discuss, so many things to study, and so many things to argue about. Okay, be it the new micromanipulation methods, or the new so-called add-ons to the treatment, and it's keeping us busy. It's keeping us busy. So we spend a lot of time discussing these Western medicine approaches, and we very rarely get beyond that. But I realize that especially in couples who have tried a cycle or two and didn't have the necessary luck to be successful, that sometimes when we actually line up all the methods that the Western medicine offers and provides, that we are doing everything right and we are doing everything, period. And still there's something missing. And these are the moments when we discuss it with the patients, when I realize there's a whole different world that we didn't really actually tap in. And there's a lot of opportunities there. Plus, the personal experience always helps. Like whenever my physician, my internist tells me, you shouldn't stress, it kind of gets me going, and I always feel like screaming at him, how do you think I should do that? You shouldn't stress. But there are ways. And it's not really from the field or from the methods of the Western medicine. So I'm not an Eastern medicine or a holistic approach specialist, but I keep my eyes and ears open, and I have respect, in front of anything new. And I very much appreciate having the opportunity to learn more about this and eventually incorporate it in the treatment, in the care for the patient, because it can be very helpful.
Mm-hmm. And the same question to you, Dr. Vayala. What would you say about it in terms of holistic support at Reproclinic?
I think that we're scientists, right, by base. So as a scientist, we work on the scientific method. So sometimes it's difficult to demonstrate a cause and effect of something. In fertility, thousands of things can happen that impair the fertility. Every couple is completely different. So if we apply the scientific method, we have an hypothesis, then we have to do an experiment to measure and to test this hypothesis, and this has to be reproductive. I mean, we have to be able to reproduce the same experiment to get the same results. When we have a very heterogeneous population, it's very difficult to demonstrate that, for example, a good health or just one kind of diet or just decrease in the anxiety will impact in a positive way and having a statistically significant difference in terms of fertility in something special. So as many factors are involved, it's very difficult to have this cause and effect. So sometimes we don't see that as a fact thing. But the reality is that we need the body and we need the soul completely balanced, and all is completely connected. We don't see the organ as just the reproductive organ that works alone. It works combine all the rest of the body, and we have to take care of that as well. So probably is why Western medicine is having difficulties in order to understand how this holistic approach can help. It's not that doing one treatment of acupuncture or nutrition or whatever will affect 100% results. No, but all things, very small changes can increase a lot the results.
Does acupuncture, this is a question for you, does acupuncture help eggs or embryo quality? That's what someone's asked.
Yeah, acupuncture works in a different ways. I mean, they work restoring the balance of hormones in terms of endocrine hormones or reproductive hormones. So if we have this reproductive hormones balance, we can have a very good ovulation, a very good menstruality, ovulation, and a very good uterine flow. But if we don't have, if we, for example, have high levels of estrogens or FSH levels, for example, that it's the FSH levels high in the moment of the ovulation will impair the ovulation by itself. So if we have these hormones completely unbalanced, what we will lead is to an abnormal menstrual cycles, low quality of eggs, and low quality of embryos. So if we can be able to restore these hormones, then all things will be better consequently. So yes, this helps. And it helps a lot as well in terms of uterine preparation, because it increases the vascularity of the uterine. You can do some sessions pre and post transfer. So having one better environment in terms of vascularity of the endometrium will help you in order to be able to have this pregnancy and to receive the embryo. So yeah, it helps in different ways.
Okay, because one of the questions actually that said that came in, sorry, I'm just checking my notes here, about how does it add value to the treatment, which you've started to answer, but also how does that work with patients who are coming from abroad?
In our case, for example, we have a lot of patients coming from abroad, so we establish a network of professionals in different countries. And we have also a network of professionals working here in Barcelona as well. So, for example, imagine that we have a patient coming from England, for example. We have some holistic professionals that work there, and I'm not just talking with about acupuncture, I'm talking about nutrition, fertility coach, and acupuncture and reflexologist. We have some of the service there, so we can refer the patients to them, so they can do the treatment in their country, and then when the patients come to us, they can follow the treatment here in Barcelona with the partners that we have here.
Mm-hmm. And what about in the Czech Republic, Dr. Fragala?
We are in contact. We have a specialist actually working in Brno as well as in Prague at the sister clinic, Unica Prague, and these are available for transfers. It pretty much depends on how long the patient is ready to stay at Brno. So do they come for the sperm disposition and stay throughout that 5-day embryo cultivation period, making it a little vacation? This would be the perfect opportunity to maybe to go through such a treatment. Of course, the very basic, the minimum that we can offer is acupuncture shortly prior to the transfer and immediately after the transfer. But as Dr. Velia very well said, it's actually the benefit is definitely stronger if it's a long-term project, and in that case, either we can offer contact on somebody at their place where they live, or eventually try to give them advice and guide them throughout the selection of a specialist who might live near the place of where they come from, because usually at least in the big cities it's not a problem to find somebody like that. But once again, if the patient is actually willing, be it for their own stimulation, in that case they might stay longer, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, or if it's a cycle with egg donation there, it might be shorter, 1, 3, 5 days. So we try to actually plan everything for that time period and plan these methods accordingly.
Mm-hmm. So I had fertility treatment in America, and I had acupuncture in advance of the cycles in London, and then I also had acupuncture when I was out in New York to complement, well, because I wanted to continue having it, and I don't know how much it helped, but it definitely relaxed me, and I felt that it wasn't going to negatively impact, so I thought, why not? And then I continued it when I got home as well in London. So do you see patients doing that as well? They might start it from their home country, have it with you, or in Spain or the Czech Republic, and then if they wish, continue it after transfer.
Definitely, yes, that's the way to go. I'm just curious, if I may, did you feel or observe any difference between the approach in the United States and in England? Was the acupuncturist behaving differently, applying the procedure differently, or was it pretty much similar for you?
It was pretty similar. It was pretty similar. I think that on my first cycle of IVF, I was very, very stressed after the first transfer, and I really fixated on that during the session of acupuncture following the transfer, and so I lay there rigid and didn't relax. The second and that transfer didn't work, and I'm not saying that's because of the acupuncture, it's not, but I was in a different headspace that time. When we went back and did another transfer a few months later, I actually really enjoyed the acupuncture, and I fell asleep during the session before the transfer, in the morning and after, and it was such a nice feeling just to sleep for a bit and take my mind off it, and that cycle did work. Who knows what difference that made, but just for my peace of mind, it was a very relaxing experience.
Well, that's one of the main benefits of acupuncture, right? Because it's work on the nervous system, and what the acupuncturists want to do is to arrive to low levels of stress as possible, because it's a survival thing, right? If we're having high levels of success, the last thing that the body needs is to work on trying to conceive, right? Because the body just take all the resources to get food and survival. That's it, right? So having the levels of stress as less as possible and having a good quality of sleep is what will help at the end to increase fertility.
And does that help increase potentially success rates of implantation as well?
Yeah.
I do believe so, yes. But I very much liked what you said a little while ago when you were describing your own experience. Well, it can't really hurt, and it might help me, get relaxed a little. And that was exactly my attitude. I did have a chance actually to try acupuncture. Wasn't part of any treatment. It's just that my aunt, the physician herself, she was going through a course and she needed to practice on somebody. It was amazing. It was really so good. I got relaxed. I fell asleep actually, and it's just generally I'm used to run around, try to help as many people as I can, in a day, but to be able to stop and let somebody take care of me for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Anyway, it's very nice, and the acupuncture, thanks to that partially, was a very nice experience. So I believe I kind of know what you're talking about.
I mean, I know that it can be expensive. Fertility treatment is expensive. There's no way of getting around that. However, what I did was stop doing some other things in my life to prioritize spending money on things like acupuncture. And I also found that I didn't need to go mad by having it all the time. I just spoke with my specialist in the team to say, I want to do a bit. I'll do as much as I can budget for, but when are the key points to do it? So my question to you, both of you, which a lot of people ask, is when are the optimum times to have acupuncture to support an IVF cycle, for example?
I would recommend as many sessions as possible. But just let me point out one thing. We are talking here about acupuncture all the time in order to decrease the levels of stress and to balance the hormones. But I always recommend to patients that they have to be comfortable as what they believe and what they want to do. There are some people that are scared of needles. So we cannot push that people to go to acupuncture because their levels of stress in order to go down will be high, right? Mm-hmm. So they can find other ways to reduce the stress, as everyone has its own ways to reduce the stress. There are a lot of techniques to reduce the stress. They can, fertility coach, and having someone to support you during the fertility also is very recommendable and very, very good. So it's not one thing that patients needs to do per se, because it's mandatory. If not, the pregnancy rates will be lower. No, it's something that will enhance the fertility and will help them. So, being saying that, I recommend to do as many sessions as possible, because that is a thing that restore your hormones balance and your uterine flow. The acupuncturist can work in different ways. So some sessions before, at the time they're looking for the pregnancies or looking to conceive, that's a good time. Also, another good moment will be preparing the uterus in order to receive the embryo. So we need that uterus to be vascularized, to have this nice trilaminar layer of the uterus in order to receive the embryos. So this will help if they can do a session pre-transfer and another session post-transfer. And also can have a lot of benefits during the pregnancy by itself. What it's true is that what the doctors say, that if you put your body in the hands of a good acupuncturist, the acupuncturist knows what they can do and what they cannot do, and for sure there is no any negative effect if you do it with a good professional.
Mm-hmm. And it would probably be worth speaking with someone who is a fertility acupuncturist, wouldn't it? So that they know all about the cycle and which places and when, etc. during it. I mean, that's why what you're giving away through our platform is amazing, because to give free cycle of IVF and these supporting holistic therapies mentally and physically is phenomenal. So for people feeling the financial pinch who would like one of these opportunities, please read more through the link in the bio. Both clinics are giving away some very, very generous holistic treatment to help us in January with the year ahead. So things like that can help with these opportunities. So thank you for that. In terms of male fertility, Dr. Fragala, can holistic therapies help men?
I'm not sure about acupuncture. I think it would be difficult to try and find studies, trying to express that cause and effect. But I don't really know about any large studies in that regard, focused specifically on that. But generally, the holistic approach can definitely play a role. And I actually am learning as I go that some of the things that I felt were banal, or even when I mentioned it to the patients, I was kind of downplaying it, saying, well, these are kind of the advices that your mom would give you, or you can look it up on Google. But that's all a part of it, actually. Talking sensitively about being overweight or obese, that's actually a huge factor. Of course, smoking, not a good idea. Alcohol in moderation, etc., etc. It goes like that. Interestingly enough, there are studies that show that if the gentleman, the partner, has a poor spermiogram, is obese, and undergoes the bariatric surgery, okay, where the weight is reduced dramatically, the spermiogram becomes even worse. So
Really?
it has to be gradual, it has to be natural, and then it can very much help. Yes, of course, then there can be talk about vitamins or antioxidants, about those that help, that don't help. Many of these things can actually improve the spermiogram significantly. So I'm learning about these things as I go, and sometimes it's just a kind of a funny accident. When, for instance, after the oocyte pickup, I go and inform the patient, okay, so this is how it went, this is how many eggs we've got, and at the same time, we check the spermiogram from that day, the actual one. And it happened to me within like a month or a month and a half that I went and I used that, little comment or that little joke that I use in these situations. Sometimes I said, okay, we retrieved 10 eggs, they look very good. And as far as the spermiogram goes, wow, I don't know what you have been doing differently, Mr. So-and-so, but please keep doing it because your sperm count went up. And 3 times it happened to me that the woman reacted and said, oh, he's not doing anything, differently, but I bought him this and he has to take it now every day. And when that happened the 3rd time around within a month, I thought, I have to look this up. And I started to recommend it actually. Okay, that specific antioxidant or that specific herb. And I'm still learning about it. I'm learning as I go, as I said, but I was surprised. It did work. It did work actually. It doesn't work for everybody, but usually it doesn't cost much. It's worth trying. So just a balanced lifestyle, okay, if you put it like this, that it sounds Westernly enough, is actually the way to go. But if you dig deeper, you find that actually these are some of the holistic methods that we talk about and that we're trying apply here.
Yeah, I could say that sedentarism and bad healthy habits is one of the main factors we're facing now, actually, that is impairing the fertility. And we have to work a lot with that because we have seen in the clinic more and more patients coming with high levels of BMI comparing like 10 years ago and unhealthy habits, and this has to be readdressed.
Do you think that's the environment as well as lifestyle?
It's environment, absolutely. Environment is causing a lot of effects because there are a lot of toxics on the environment, as well as all the bad things that you can find on the supermarket that are with high levels of sugars and additive, and you have to be very careful what you are eating. And now actually it's difficult to eat healthy and to find healthy food, and healthy food is expensive as well.
Yeah.
And all this is correlated. So yeah.
And so for patients who are becoming abroad to either of your clinics, would you recommend that they see a nutritionist as well if they're able?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, yes. And that goes both for the male and female patients. I just spoke about the partners because that was the question. But in the woman, we've seen many cases where dropping 10, 15 kilograms actually got her menstrual cycle started. And sometimes, they even became pregnant spontaneously before we could start any treatment or tip in. So if you do it really well, then maybe you will be out of a job, but we'll find something else. No.
Well, I have a friend who it has been struggling with conceiving, and she has been told by a nutritionist to gain weight, and that has brought her periods back. So it can be both ways, can't it?
Yes, that's the other side of the coin. Yes, that can happen too. It's important.
But it's also important because we always talk about overweight and obesity,
Yes.
but we never talk about low BMI index, and yeah, it's true. It's completely true.
Yeah, we have lots of readers who say, hello, can you help people who are underweight and struggling with fertility as well? So it's a big conversation to have. And what about, this is another topic that's come up in from our readers. How, and I'd like to ask you both, please, in your opinions, how does holistic therapies, such as the ones we've discussed, acupuncture, diet, all sorts of things, play a role, naturopathy, how does that play a role in supporting people who may have miscarried?
Ladies first.
As I said, I mean, it's not one thing that we can do that will change completely our prognosis of the case, right? It's not one thing. It's just I'm going to eat healthy, and then I'm sure that I'm going to get pregnant 100%. No, because there are thousands of factors that interfere during the pregnancy, and to be able to arrive to a baby born. Imagine it's not only to conceive, it's to have a pregnancy and a healthy pregnancy that arrives to the end. So, but if you consider that you need to balance yourself and you work your body and your mind in order to have low levels of stress, be working on the well-being, I mean, healthy habits, having active physical activity, eating well, non-smoking, no alcohol, as the doctor says. So a lot of good quality of sleep, that's very important. If we have that, if we embrace all that during our fertility journey, the prognosis will be better, absolutely.
Okay.
At least my opinion.
Yes, I fully agree. Once again, it's very difficult to quantify, and it's very difficult to, practically impossible, to set up a protocol that would help everyone. So this is one of the situations where the physician needs to talk to the couple, feel them out, so to speak, see what they need. It might be individual. Of course, we have our own Western medicine mantras that we have to go through if there's more than one missed abortion, two, I think three, God forbid. So yeah, we have to look at genetics, hematology, immunology eventually, and cooperate with the colleagues from these fields. But it's a situation that's extremely stressful for the couple, and it's always helpful to try to, get them back on track, because sometimes I have friends or I know couples that they have stopped trying actually for 6 months, 12 months, and never came back. Okay, when they said we changed our routes because we are just not able to drive by the clinic. It's so negative, and that was just because they miscarried, because they got so close to fulfilling that dream, and that's actually the situation where it might be slightly different for everybody. Once again, there's no cure for all, no recommendation for all patients, but this can be very helpful to get them back on track, to get them to start even thinking about it, communicating again, and then maybe taking care of the necessary examinations and eventually try again. And it's worth it. I had a patient from England, actually from Great Britain, specifically England, and she had 7 miscarriages back there, and she said, well, they examined everything, and ultimately they just told me, well, you have very, very bad luck. Okay, that was frustrating, but yeah, even this story had a happy ending. We eventually planned a cycle with egg donation, because yes, she was getting a little older as far as the reproductive age goes, and that helped, and she did become pregnant and carried to term. So it can happen even after 7 miscarriages, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of stress, and it takes a lot of courage, from the couple.
Yeah.
I always recommend patients to, independently of the phase they are facing, because some of them they just start looking for the pregnancy and they have only 1 year trying to conceive and this baby doesn't arrive. Others arrive to a miscarriage, repetitive miscarriage, so it's a huge an important moment. So I always recommend to patients first to share the experience to the relative and the friends, because if you can be able to verbalize what is happening, you are releasing a stress. You will feel that you are not alone, and this will help a lot to face that situation. And also to find a professional, a fertility coach or a psychologist that will help you and will give you tips, tools, small tools, in order to face this frustration, this anxiety, this stress, all this, right? Because they have the first step, there are a lot of phases during that process, and the first phase is to accept what is happening. And the second phase is to see what I can do to modify a little bit or to help to revert all that. So to look for help, because sometimes when we recommend psychologists, the patients feel like I'm not having any problem, I don't need any help. But the first step is to recognize and to accept what you're facing. It's not easy. It's like a roller coaster of emotions. One day you are up, or the other day you are down, and this interferes a lot with your couple as well, with the relationship that you have with your couple. So I always recommend to look for help and to have someone that will help you and embrace you during that moment as well.
And I found it useful to speak to someone who was a fertility counsellor who I didn't know, because sometimes you want to speak to someone that you may not be trying to have a baby with, or family members may not get it, friends may not get it, and that's why within our community app people can talk and make friends with people around the world who are just experiencing the same thing. And I think the other thing is that if you experience infertility, loss, whatever it might be, people may be supportive at the time, but it's very easy for other people's lives to continue on and to feel forgotten and to feel like you're kind of in the trenches for a long period of time and it's hard to get out. So get out of that rut. So yes, continued support is key, not just one off. But thank you both so much for chatting with me today. For anyone who's joining and doesn't know, please head to our link in bio. Until the 4th of February, we are giving away, thanks to Unica and Reproclinic, 11 opportunities of complementary treatment, which includes a free round of IVF at Unica and 2 supporting holistic therapies. And Reproclinic are giving away 10 bundles of a free fertility consult, fertility coaching, and fertility acupuncture to 10 successful applicants picked at random. So please head to our link in bio to find out all about both of their clinics, how they can support you. Reach out to their teams, or you can contact me if you have any questions, and we'd be delighted for anyone to take advantage and apply. So thank you both for joining me today. Is there anything you want to end with that you think people should know about or think about?
I'm going to go first this time, and I'm going to have, let Esther have the final word. I would just say, don't give up, okay? I know there are alternatives. I know everybody has their own limits, but we have many, many cases where it just takes a long time. And sometimes the patients get negative and say, oh, yeah, try the transfer. I don't care. It's not going to, be anything, just like the other times. And it works. And I have so many of these stories where it worked the 3rd, 4th, 5th time. So yeah, heads up, don't give up. And just good luck to you all. And thank you so much for, inviting us. it may be a long day, and then you go home and say, oh yeah, then now the discussion, oh my God. And but then when we get talking to you, it's always so great. You're doing such a fantastic
Oh,
job. And
thank
it's a lot of pleasure, and I hope the patients feel the same way, and I'm sure it helps. So thank you very much.
Well, it's always a delight to speak to you both and to have professional views on things as well as hearing other people's stories too.
I know that people that can hear us can have a lot of questions. So I just want to say that we are open to receive any questions that they may have, because we have been talking for different things, a lot of different things, but we didn't enter into details to any of those because the topic is very huge. So any one that can have some consultation, they can contact us anytime, and we will be glad to answer and to help.
Thank you. Because there are so many other holistic therapies that both your clinics offer that we haven't had a moment to touch on. And I know acupuncture often gets the spotlight. So, you know, both your teams and websites have great details on those too. So yes, please, if people would like to get in touch, I definitely suggest you do. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.